Hey, what's up everybody? Taylor with KC here, and today I'm with Art. He's our shipping manager for the company, and we just got done watching the Ford Bronco release that they did live on YouTube. It was like an 8-minute video, something along those lines. So we just wanted to sit down and share a little bit about our first impressions with you guys. So we sat down, we kind of took some notes, and simple as that, we just kind of wanted to go over it. So I'll kind of start off just sharing my initial first impression, and then Art, maybe you'll hop in right after that. Just, kind of right off the bat, they launched 3 different models in the Bronco family, I should say. Number 1 is the Bronco Sport, the smaller, more compact version. Number 2 is the 2-door, and then number 3 is the full-size 4-door version. Personally, I don't know what Art thinks, but personally, not a fan of the Bronco Sport. Too small, doesn't look like it'd fit my needs really well, so to me, that's just not a vehicle I'd be interested in. Now, that said, the 2-door and the 4-door versions, though, those were pretty freaking awesome. We've got a whole bunch of the different specs and kind of the starting base prices, what they look like they're going to be. So we'll get into that right now. But for me, the 2-door and the 4-door look like they're going to be really freaking cool. So Art, what did you kind of think about it?
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with you on pretty much everything you said. The Sport, I could see why they did it.
Yep.
It'll definitely, like, a lot of people will like it for what they need, to do. But the 2 and the 4-door definitely takes the cake for me.
Yeah.
Tons of technology, tons of capability, tons of standard options that you can get straight from the factory. It's gonna be a big competitor for Jeep.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, this has got a ton of different off-road capability that was built in, so it kind of seems like they're pretty much directly targeting Jeep and all of the Jeep buyers with the Bronco. Obviously, and we all know why. I mean, the Jeeps are historically and still are today one of the best off-road vehicles that you can buy right off the lot. I'm a Toyota guy, and I'll even be able to admit that. But like Art just said, the Ford Bronco, they have packed a ton of different technology into that thing and some really cool specs, such as big tires, all kinds of different cool things that are going to be a part of it. So maybe let's just kind of run down some of the specs on it, and we can kind of talk about kind of our impressions on each of the specs as we go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Start off with the different engine options and the different horsepower ratings and all that stuff for us.
All right, so for the Bronco Sport, they're going to be offering their target power output is 245 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque, and that's like pretty respectable for like compact
yeah, for the smaller
economy
version.
Off-road vehicle, right?
Yep.
But where the real money is the 2 and the 4-door. That's 310 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, tons of torque. It's got the EcoBoost motor, and that'll get you out of the hole like no problem. It's not a huge vehicle, so yeah, that should be plenty of power.
Yeah, I mean that's a ton, right? So I've got a Toyota Tacoma. That's my personal vehicle. It's a second gen. It's right around that 240, 250 horsepower mark.
Yeah.
But for a bigger vehicle of that size to have a horsepower rating like that, I mean, that's definitely not what I was expecting Ford to put out for this Bronco. I was kind of expecting it to be a smaller 250, 260 horsepower motor out of it. So that's pretty cool. Some of the suspension stuff, let's kind of dive into that maybe. These are built on an independent front suspension system, so the opposite of what kind of your standard Jeep Gladiator is, or your Jeep Wrangler is. So those are a solid front axle. For those of you that maybe don't know what an independent front is, it's got coilovers or coils in the front. Each front tire can move independently from one another versus being attached to the same axle, kind of like on a Jeep, right?
Yep.
So one of the cool things was that they were talking about how because of this, the HOSS system, HOSS that they called it, I think it was like the high output suspension system or something like that. Yeah. They were talking about how at higher speeds, this vehicle is going to travel a lot smoother than something with a solid front axle will. So I kind of found that interesting that they're taking a little bit of a different approach to the suspension design on it.
Yeah, and a lot of their inspiration came from their off-road racing, a lot of their success from there.
Yep.
They took what they learned in Baja and they applied it to the Bronco. So it's going to be able to, dampen or stiffen whenever, or soften and stiffen whenever you might need it.
Yep, exactly. And again, with the off-road capability, one of the huge things that I should have already mentioned earlier on is they have an option on the new Ford Broncos that's going to be able to be coming from the factory with 35-inch tall tires.
Yeah, and that's like pretty crazy. That's like when the Raptor came out with 35s, like everyone was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, it's like a factory vehicle with 35s. Like, that's pretty good.
nuts. It's absolutely wild. So they didn't say what the price point was going to be for a vehicle that's outfitted with 35s. I mean, I'm going to imagine that this is going to be the equivalent to like a Rubicon model of a JL or a JT, something along those lines, which I believe right now are coming with 33 or equivalent of a 33-inch tire. That's what our Gladiator came with on the Rubicon model. So 35s is pretty freaking awesome for a vehicle in this market. Pretty awesome. So again, more of the off-road capabilities. It's got, of course, what you'd expect. It's got the rear locker in it. It's got the front locker in it. It's got the disconnectable sway bar. I think it said something about being able to disconnect the sway bar while it was under load. Was that right?
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah, it was a pretty cool video. You'd have to go back and see it, but it was like pretty cool watching it work. Like the one wheel was off the ground and they clicked the button and the wheel dropped down, and next thing you know, you had all 4 points of contact.
Yeah, pretty cool. So the video that he's talking about is just the 8-minute Ford launch release video. So we'll put the link for that in the description below, and then you'll be able to click that right after you view our thoughts on it. So that's cool. They've got all the different tricks, right, for off-roading. Everything you'd kind of expect for a vehicle that's targeting that Jeep Wrangler or the Jeep JT, I guess. Probably not really a truck vehicle market, but something that's targeting that Jeep Wrangler. It's got pretty much everything that you'd expect from an off-roading perspective, including a lot of really cool technology that they have built into it. So can you maybe talk us a little bit about the camera setups and about some of the different off-road tech that they got built in?
Yeah, so they had like a 360-degree camera view that they had, and it even had like an up-top version, like almost looking down on the vehicle. And I guess that would be, you know, if you need a spotter, which is still recommended. But it's to definitely make it easier on the driver, you know, in some, you know, difficult terrain.
Yep.
And
yeah, so the 360-degree cameras were pretty freaking cool. Another really cool aspect that I thought was neat about it was they have, of course, like I think it was a 12-inch optional screen on one of the versions, and then an 8-inch on the Sport version.
Yeah.
And on those integrated dash screens, they have their own, and I don't know if it's using somebody else's technology, but they've got a technology built into it where it has a whole bunch of different trails that you can find and navigate through directly using theirs. So you may not need it in aftermarket or a standalone GPS system like you would on some of the current vehicles that are out there today, simply because of this technology that Ford has baked into this integrated, into their dash, you know, their dash infotainment system.
Yeah, and you can like download your favorite trails on there. You could run them. You can go to different trails along your same trail if you want to do a little bit more extra exploring.
Yep.
And you can take like, I don't know if there was like snapshot feature, or where you can like mark like certain points of the trail, like like maybe big rocks or, you know, inclines or something like that.
Yeah, so you can record all of that too. And then what was really cool about it is after I go out by myself, bring the dog with me, whatever, record my trail, I can then share that on some sort of platform with other vehicle owners that are able to see this. So it's almost like they're creating some sort of social sharing platform as well, which is kind of interesting. I've never seen that done before in this type of market. So aside from that, I mean, like we just mentioned, all the off-road capability is there. As you would expect, you can remove all the doors, you can remove the roof from the vehicle, so it provides this nice open panoramic kind of feel to it.
Oh yeah, it looks awesome.
Yep, open air. Yeah, and the looks of this thing, I mean, let's just kind of dig into that. Like, I absolutely love the look of the 2-door and the 4-door.
Yeah, it looks like rugged yet not too over the top. Like it looks like just right. Like I think they knocked it out of the park. Definitely a lot of inspiration from the first gen Bronco, and they took a lot of the, you know, going back to the heritage, you know, like it's really like much respect to Ford for that.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, again, we've done some Photoshop. We've got a couple little images too with KCs on it. It's gonna look pretty freaking sweet by the time that we're able to get our hands on one and start the R&D process to be able to get some bolt-on light kits together for this Bronco. I am pretty freaking amped to see what it's gonna look like. So
just finally bringing something new to the market. I mean, we've had the Wrangler for so long, it's just like you've seen everything.
Exactly.
Know? So finally a little bit of something fresh.
Yep, exactly. So speaking of something fresh, I mean, we are very highly considering clicking that reserve button right now. So if you guys think we should reserve one of the Ford Broncos, let us know in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. We've seen some information on some of the pricing right now. It looks like from what we could find, the 2-door and the 4-door models are going to be starting around just under that $30,000 mark, while the Sport's going to be starting right in the mid-28 range. So if you guys think that we should reserve one, let us know. I mean, we're kind of interested in it. We're curious as a company. So I think as far as I go, or as far as I've got for first impression, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Love the 2-door, love the 4-door. Sport, don't really care anything about it. Those are my kind of first impressions.
Yep, my first impressions would be basically the same. Yeah, 2 and 4-door, definitely the ones to look out for. Definitely a lot of competition for Jeep. It's just going to be fun. Like, it's going to be a huge off-roading market now. Like, it's just above and beyond from here.
Yep.
And the Sport, it's cool. It's all right.
Yeah, there's definitely a market for it. I think just for what my own personal needs are, I can't see them fulfilling that. That's why that 2-door, 4-door.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, for me, I couldn't buy one. I mean, I wouldn't need one.
Yep,
but
exactly.
It'll do the job for some people.
Yeah. So overall, super interested in it. Love all the different off-road technology that they built into it, all the capabilities, all the specs look like they're going to be amazing. Lots of power, 35-inch tall tires, straight from the factory. I mean, pretty crazy specs on it, so we're definitely interested. We're going to be keeping our eyes on it. Once again, let us know any of your guys' thoughts in the comments, and let's have a great discussion about it. Thank you guys for tuning in for this kind of first impressions video. This is kind of the first video of this kind that we've ever done before, so
should do more.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.